Hello everyone, welcome to IITN's GATE classes. So today is our 5th session of quick revision series on circuit theory for our PSU series. Okay, so today we are going to see the chapter network theory. Previously we have covered the basics of circuit, its question, previous year questions, few good questions. Then we have completed our two-port network along with the questions, and today we are going to see the network theorems, different network theorems that are present in our circuit theory. Okay, and in the next session we are going to see the questions. So then let us begin with today's session. So the first in the network theorem comes the Thevenin theorem. So what is Thevenin theorem? So you need to memorize few points for Thevenin theorem. That Thevenin theorem, it is valid for linear networks, only valid for linear network. For non-linear network it is invalid. Valid for linear network. Bilateral network, I have already told you what is bilateral network. Bilateral network is such a network in which the direction of current, even it gets opposite, the impedance it won't change. Okay, so here is a circuit in which if the direction of current is reversed, your value of impedance calculated, total impedance calculated for the circuit will be the same. I have already discussed this point in our first chapter, first lecture. Okay, network in Thevenin theorem, it is valid for independent and dependent source network. So valid for independent as well as for dependent source network. So basically what is Thevenin equivalent circuit is, we are converting an equivalent circuit to somewhat it looks like a practical voltage source. Okay, so we actually do what? We compile a whole big circuit just into its equivalent voltage terminal, or I can say Thevenin voltage, or to its resistance. Okay, Thevenin resistance. So we are going to see how we are going to calculate. So this VTH, this is known as my Thevenin voltage. With the help of question we are going to see how to calculate Thevenin voltage, and this RTH is known as Thevenin resistance. Okay, so we are going to see what is Thevenin voltage and what is Thevenin resistance. So basically what we do in Thevenin theorem is we convert a huge circuit or a big circuit of linear bilateral network into an equivalent Thevenin equivalent circuit, and this is your Thevenin equivalent circuit. You can see there is a Thevenin voltage, Thevenin resistance and load resistance, along whose terminal we Thevenize the circuit. Okay, along the terminal of load we Thevenize the circuit. Okay, now Thevenin voltage is also known as open circuit voltage. Open circuit voltage. Why? Because if I want to calculate the Thevenin voltage across this AB, what I am going to do is I am going to open circuit the network from this load terminal. Okay, and then I am going to calculate the equivalent voltage. So that is why it is also known as my open circuit voltage across the load RL, also known as open circuit voltage. And for calculating the Thevenin resistance, we have two different methods. When our network has only independent source means what? Either it is a practical voltage source or a practical current source. So in that case, RTH is calculated by removing all the independent source. We have to remove all the independent source. So removing means what? Voltage source, it is short circuit, voltage source equal to 0. Removing means what? We are removing means what? It is 0. So voltage source 0 means what? That branch in which voltage source is connected, suppose this is my voltage source. Now if V is equal to 0, that means what? This branch is shorted. So voltage source equal to 0 means it will be replaced by short circuit, and current source 0 That means what? Current source, if it is equal to 0, means open circuit. Why? See, if this is my current source, now I tell you I is equal to 0. I equal to 0 means what? This place is open circuited, so that is why no current is flowing from this branch. Okay. So if your circuit has only independent voltage or current source, you are going to remove all the independent sources, whether it can be voltage source or current source. I just told you, you will be replacing voltage source by its equivalent, by an equivalent short circuit, and if it is my current source, you are going to replace it by an equivalent open circuit. Okay. Now what happens if your network has dependent or dependent as well as independent source? Okay, dependent source, it cannot be there independently in the circuit. Why? Because if dependent source, all the dependent source, it is basically what? They are the function of my independent sources. They are the function of independent sources. So if independent sources are not present, that means what? Dependent source will be 0. So I cannot calculate that. So whenever a network has dependent source as well as independent source, at that time we take help of this value. Okay, we calculate VDC by IDC, where VDC is the voltage across the load. Okay, voltage across the load, and IDC is the current flowing through the node, current flowing through the node into the network. So with the help of example, we are going to see. So what is RTH when we have dependent source and independent source? So it is equal to the voltage across the load divided by the current flowing into the load, current flowing into through the load, and the condition being independent sources are all equal to 0. Okay. Now I have considered an example, so it is better to understand via an example. Okay. So what is the question? Consider the network shown in the below figure. So this is my network shown. Find the Thevenin equivalent circuit AB. Okay, Thevenin equivalent circuit AB you need to find along the terminal AB. That means what? AB is your load resistance. Okay, so you need to find. So what I am going to do, you are going to draw one more diagram. Okay, one more circuit diagram. I am replacing this. Okay, I will be solving it in the next page. Okay, so it will be better. So what I said, this is my load resistance. Okay, RL. This 4 ohm. First condition is what? Find Thevenin equivalent circuit along the terminal AB. Okay, so along the AB I am going to find. So what I am going to do for calculation first, so first what I will be doing? Calculation for VTH. First I will be calculating VTH. Okay, so if I want to calculate VTH, how will it look like? So I need to open circuit the load for calculation of VTH. I have already told you it is also known as open circuit voltage. So simply what I am going to do, I am going to open this terminal. Now tell me what is VA? What is VA? VA is equal to, see, no current is flowing here. So this 1 ohm and 2 ohm, they are in series. So VA, in for calculating this VA, this is plus minus VA. So VA I can calculate how? I can calculate it by applying voltage division rule. So that will be 10 into 2 divided by 3. So that is 20 by 3 volt. What about VB? VB. Now VB, how will I calculate? Tell me. So let me mark this as VB, because I know what? Voltage along the terminal of current source I cannot determine. Okay, so let me mark this place as VB. Now I am going to apply KVL. I am starting from this point, so it will be what? Minus VB plus, as 2 ampere is flowing in this whole loop, so this will be 24 minus 3 equal to 0. So VB comes out to be 21 volt. Now what is VAB? VAB is equal to VA minus VB, which is equal to my Thevenin voltage. So put the value of VA and VB, so that comes out to be 20 by 3 minus 21. So that is 63, so minus 43 by 3 volt. So this is the calculation of my Thevenin voltage. Okay, so this is my Thevenin voltage. Now I will be calculating, my second step is what? Calculation of RTH. Okay, calculation of RTH. So how will I calculate? Here, is there any dependent source? Tell me, any dependent source? No, we don't have any dependent source. So what I will be doing? I will be simply doing what? Short circuiting the voltage source and open circuiting the current source. So if I short circuit this branch, so what it will happen? This 1 ohm and 2 ohm, they will be in parallel. And if I open circuit this, and again if I short circuit this one, you need to calculate the resistance, equivalent resistance from AB point. Okay. So now what do you see? What is the equivalent resistance? You can see 1 ohm is parallel to 2 ohm, 1 ohm is parallel to 2 ohm, and it is in series with 12 ohm. So this is what? 1 into 2 divided by 3 plus 12. So that is 36, 38 by 3 ohm. So this is my RTH. Okay. Now if I want to draw the equivalent circuit diagram, how will I draw it? So this is plus, this is minus, this will be RTH, this is my VTH, and this is RL, where RL is equal to what? Your 4 ohm that was present in between AB. So RL is 4 ohm. What about RTH? RTH is 38 by 3 ohm. What about VTH? VTH is minus 43 by 3 volts. Okay. So this is the calculation of VTH when you have considered AB, the resistance in between AB, as your load resistance or load terminal. Now what will happen? How will the Thevenin equivalent circuit change if you make your load terminal as BC? So let us calculate that also. So now calculation when BC is your load terminal. So first will be what? Calculation of VTH. Okay, first we are going to calculate VTH. So now which terminal am I going to open? So the load terminal now is BC. So I will be opening this BC load terminal. Now what? VTH is equal to VB minus VC, because this is plus minus VTH. Now VC I already know what? VC is equal to minus 3 volt, you can see. What about VB? VB, what can I say? So simply what I am going to do, I am going to apply a node at this point. Okay, I am going to apply a node at this point. So what it will be? Nodal analysis, VA minus 10 by 1 plus VA by 2. What about this point? What should I write? VA minus VB by 4. Should I write this VA minus VB by 4? No. Then what will happen? Again I have to apply a node at this point, and it is not advisable because this 2 ampere is in series. So this 2 ampere will flow here. So inward current inside the node I will be considering at minus 2 equal to 0. Now just take LCM and solve. So this will be 2 VA minus 20 plus VA minus 4 equal to 0. So VA comes out to be 3 VA is equal to 24. So VA is 24 by 3, that is 8 volts. Okay. So VA comes out to be 8 volts. So if VA is your 8 volt, now what can I do? What can I do? Let me assume this is my VB. So look very carefully. I am applying KVL from this point. Okay, KVL from this point. So it will be what? VA is equal to what? Minus 2 into 4, because I am moving from this direction. Okay, I am moving from this direction. So this is my VA. Okay, this whole terminal voltage is VA. Okay, remember this. So I have started from here. So minus VA it will be. So I have directly transposed. So VA is equal to minus 2 into 4 plus VB. What is the value of VA? It is 8 is equal to minus 8 plus VB. So VB comes out to be your 16 volt. Okay, 16 volt. So VB comes out to be 16. So what is VTH? VTH is 16 minus of minus 3. So that is 19 volts VTH you are getting. Now what about RTH? So I am making changes in the same diagram. You can see what? This will short. This position is going to short. This will open. This is open. And this 10 ohm is going to short. Now what do you see? RTH is equal to what? This 4 ohm is in series with combination of 1 ohm parallel with 2. So that is 4 plus 2 by 3. So 12 to 14 by 3 ohm. So 14 by 3 ohm is the RTH you are getting. Now there is no relationship in between the two. So what I want to say is, whenever we have a different load terminal, then the whole VTH and RTH it changes. So whenever in the same circuit, when load terminal changes, Thevenin parameters also changes. Okay, so remember this point, they might ask you. Now the next example we have is what? Consider the network shown in the figure, find RTH and VTH you need to find. So here in the circuit you can see what? There is one dependent source, okay, and it is dependent what? It is current controlled, voltage controlled what? It is voltage controlled voltage source. So this is my voltage controlled voltage source. I need to find RTH and VTH across the terminal AB. So first I am going to tell you, pause the video and you find out yourself, then I am going to solve with you. So now you are what? Asked the Thevenin equivalent circuit from the terminal AB. So what I am going to do? First, calculation of VTH, okay, calculation of first VTH. So what I am going to do, I am simply going to open circuit this terminal and I am going to calculate VTH from this terminal. So what you see, there is no current flowing from here. Okay, no current is flowing from here. So whatever is the terminal voltage at this point, it will be directly shorting out to this terminal. Why? Because no current is flowing. This is plus minus V open circuit voltage, which is equal to my Thevenin voltage. So no current as it is flowing. So this voltage directly, whatever will be my V, it will be shorting out to this VOC. So let me calculate V. So that will be what? V minus Vs by 1 plus V minus 2 Vs by 1. So that comes out to be 2V is equal to 3 Vs. So V is equal to 3 by 2 Vs. So here we are going to calculate VTH and RTH in terms of Vs only. Okay, sorry, in terms means only Thevenin voltage is going to be in terms of Vs. RTH, it is going to be a numeric number. Okay, so V is equal to 3 by 2 Vs. Now calculation of RTH. Okay, calculation of RTH. So how are we going to calculate RTH? So here I have already told you, as there is dependent voltage source at this point. So we are going to use the formula what? Which result? From this terminal will be now VDC, and going in from this terminal will be IDC. So the ratio of VDC by IDC when all the independent source are my 0. Now I am erasing. Okay, I will be just shifting this part a little bit to my right. Okay, when independent source is 0. So what is the independent source? You can see here, this Vs is my independent source. So this is equal to 0. So let it remain here. Let this value be 0. If this independent source is 0, so this is also becoming 0. Now it is not mandatory that always this dependent source it will become 0. It became 0. Why? Because this Vs was directly dependent on this dependent voltage source. Suppose if this was, instead of 2 Vs, if this was 2I, I means what? This branch current, then this wouldn't have been 0, because I we don't know what it is. Okay, but here as our this voltage controlled voltage source is dependent on this voltage source, this independent voltage source, and we know what, for calculation of RTH we actually short the voltage source, so that is why this is 0. Now we have to calculate this ratio of VDC by IDC. So let me do that in the next page. So if we do that, so now let me apply a KVL through this loop. Okay, like this I am going to apply KVL. So you are seeing what? This is minus VDC plus 2I. I is what? I is this branch current. Okay, I is this branch current plus 2I, and what is the value of this one? It is 1 ohm. Okay, 1 ohm. So I skipped it. So this is 1 ohm plus current flowing through this branch is IDC. So it will be plus 1 into IDC. Plus from here I is coming, and from this point IDC. So here in this branch it will be I plus IDC plus 1 into I plus IDC, and this will be what? This will be plus 2Vs equal to 0. So now what do you see here? VDC is equal to 2I 3I. So this is 3I IDC plus 2IDC plus 2Vs. Okay, so 2Vs is actually equal to 0. So this will go out. Sorry, I forgot actually. So now this is the equation. Now somehow I need to replace this I in terms of VDC and IDC. So how am I going to do that? Now simply what I am going to do, I am going to apply another KVL in this loop. In this loop I am going to apply one more KVL. So it will be what? 0 plus I, 1 into I, plus I plus IDC, I plus IDC equal to 0. So I is equal to minus IDC by 2. So let me replace this value here. So this is what VDC is equal to minus 3 by 2 IDC plus 2 IDC. So this will be what? VDC is equal to 0.5 IDC. So VDC by IDC is what? It is equal to 0.5 ohm. So this is the value of RTH. So we have calculated the VTH. So this is my VTH, this V, and this is my RTH. Okay, everybody clear? So if you people have any doubts, I want you people to do what? Just comment in the comment section below if it is possible. I will be solving your doubt in the comment section. If it is not possible, I will be replying or solving your problem in the next session. Okay. So the next theorem is what? Norton's theorem. So same like Thevenin theorem, Norton theorem is also valid for linear, bilateral and both dependent as well as independent source network. Okay. So Norton theorem, I can say it is a dual of Thevenin theorem. So basically in Thevenin's theorem what we did, along the load terminal we constructed the circuit in terms of a practical voltage source or a Thevenin circuit. Similarly in Norton theorem what we are going to do, along the load terminal we are going to replace an entire network in the form of a practical current source circuit. Okay. So if this is my practical current source, so my equivalent Norton circuit will also look something like a practical current source where there is a ideal voltage source in parallel with a resistance. Okay. So this 3 point you need to remember, that Norton as well as Thevenin theorem, it is valid for linear network, bilateral network as well as for independent and dependent source network. Okay. Now what does Norton theorem states? Norton current is known as short circuit current. Norton current is known as short circuit current. Thevenin voltage was known as open circuited voltage. Norton current is known as short circuit current. Across the load means the load terminal will be shorted, to calculate the IN or Norton current. Okay. So calculating RN and RTH are same. Calculation for RN, Norton resistance, as well as Thevenin resistance, they are the same. Okay. Both the cases, if your circuit has only independent sources, how to calculate the RTH we have seen. And if your circuit contains dependent as well as independent source, we have seen how to calculate. So RN will be also calculated the same way. What about Norton current? How do we calculate Norton current? We are going to see. So first we need to find out the relationship between the Thevenin circuit and the Norton circuit. So this is what? This is my normal voltage source circuit and this is my current source circuit. So how do I convert it? Using source transformation. Using source transformation, I convert a voltage source to a current source. Okay, I convert a voltage source to a current source. So what is the relationship that we have? In is basically equal to Vth by Rth and Rn is equal to Rth. So I should have written it not VSRS, this should have been Vth Rth and this should have been In Rn. Okay, so this is what? This is the interrelationship between Norton current and Thevenin voltage and Norton resistance and Thevenin resistance. One more important thing I want to tell you, Rth is equal to Vth by Isc. Okay, Vth by Isc is what? Your Thevenin resistance, or I can say it is equal to your Norton resistance as well. Okay, so this is one important conclusion. As this is a quick revision series, I am not proving this result. Okay, you need to memorize what? The Thevenin resistance is equal to Thevenin on Norton resistance, it is equal to the open circuit voltage, because Vth I can replace by what? I can replace it by VOC by Isc, or I can write it as Vth by In. Okay, in terms of Thevenin voltage and Norton current. Why? Because Thevenin voltage is known as open circuit voltage and Norton current is known as what? Short circuit current. Okay. So all the example for this one we are going to solve in the next lecture session. Okay. So the next theorem, most important theorem we have is what? Maximum power transfer theorem. Maximum power transfer theorem. Okay. So maximum power transfer theorem, it is valid for linear network, valid for bilateral network, valid for both independent as well as dependent source network, and it is valid for only variable load condition. This theorem, maximum transfer theorem, is valid only for variable load condition. It is not valid, I will write it, not valid for variable source resistor. Okay, this theorem is valid only for variable load condition or variable load impedance. So here also I should be writing, it is not valid for variable source condition or impedance. Okay, in case what happens if we have a fixed load? So what are we going to do for the maximum power transfer theorem? So if we have fixed load, we are going to choose the minimum internal impedance of the source. Okay, we are going to choose the minimum internal impedance of the source or minimum source impedance such that maximum current flows through the load. So what will happen if maximum current flows through the load is that if maximum current flows through the load, then my maximum power will be delivered to the load. Why? If current is maximized, then power through the load will be what? I max into XL, or whatever is the impedance of the load. Okay, not XL I should be writing it as ZL. Okay, I max square ZL. So this implies load. Okay, load, not inductor. And one more thing, the efficiency of this theorem is what? 50%. Now even this I am not going to be proving because it will take time. So I am not going to prove, as this is a quick revision series. You need to remember that what? Maximum efficiency of this theorem is what? 50%. Or you can do what? You can just calculate dP, okay, dP by dz, or dP by whatever is your load impedance. You just differentiate it, calculate the value. You will be seeing what? The maximum efficiency is what? 50%. Maxima point is what? 50%. Suppose, so this is one important circuit. Okay, this is very important. Suppose this hole Okay, this hole is what? It is my source circuit. This is my source voltage, internal source impedance, and this is my load impedance. Okay, and my load impedance is varying. So I have already told you maximum power transfer theorem is valid only for variable source. Okay, valid for variable source. Now what will happen? Suppose if my internal impedance or source impedance ZS, it looks something like this. So this is what? This is my pure resistance. Pure resistance, and even if my load is pure resistance, then the condition for maximum power transfer will be what? When load resistance is equal to source resistance, at that time my maximum power will be transferring, and what will be the power in the load resistance? This RL or ZL, it will be given by I square into RL. Okay, I square into RL. Now suppose if my source resistance is what? RS plus JXS. So this is a complex impedance, and my load, in load you can see load is also complex, but in that complex part only the real part or the resistive part is varying. Resistive part is varying. This is very, very important, this one. So you can see what? Only the resistance part is varying. So the condition for maximum power transfer will be what? When my load resistance is equal to under root of source resistance square plus XL plus XS. That means what? The imaginary part of the source and the imaginary part of the load, when they are squared. So basically it is the magnitude of our source resistance plus the combination of imaginary part of the source and load whole square. Okay, and the power will be what? As here my circuit is what? Complex circuit, and the circuit, sorry, complex circuit I am telling, the circuit will have complex load. So complex load will generate a complex current. So we need to take magnitude of that current. Magnitude of the current. Okay, so this is very important. Now suppose my ZS, it looks something like this, and in this my real part, it is not varying. Real part means what? My resistive part is not varying, but my complex or imaginary part is varying. Okay, imaginary part. Now don't assume this L to be as inductor. This L implies it is my load. Okay, this is load, or else you might be replacing this XL by J omega L. Okay, thinking this is the reactance of my inductor. Okay, so don't do that. So this is basically the imaginary part of my load. So the condition for maximum power transfer will be what? XL plus XS should be equal to 0 for the maximum power transfer to take place. Okay. Now what happens if your source resistance is like this, and the load, in the load, both the real part and your imaginary part, it is varying. So you need to take complex conjugate of the source. So the load resistance will be basically what? Load resistance will be basically the complex conjugate of source. Okay. Now what if this is the structure or impedance of our source resistance, and only there is real part in your load? So this will be what? You can see what? Here XL is equal to 0. Here XL is equal to 0. So replace XL by 0 in this formula and you will be getting. Similarly, this is what? RS plus J0. So here you will be replacing XS by 0. You can check. So this is very important, this formula and this formula. Okay, these two are very, very important. So this is all about maximum power transfer theorem. Okay, so when we are solving questions, at that time we are going to look few good questions, and then we are going to have the complete theory or the complete knowledge behind the power transfer theorem. Okay. Now next is what? We have superposition theorem. So superposition theorem, it is also valid for linear and bilateral network, valid for both dependent as well as independent network, and it is used for the measurement of voltage and current response where there are more than one voltage and current source. Okay, whenever in a circuit if we have more than one voltage or current source, at that time for calculating the node voltage or branch current we take help of the superposition theorem. Okay, so in superposition theorem what we do, basically we take one source at a time. Okay, we take what? We take one source at a time. So after calculating one source, we are then calculating the whatever is asked, like your node voltage or branch current, whatever is asked, we are going to calculate it for the second source. Then we are going to calculate one by one for each of the sources present. And in the end, we are going to combine the result what we get. So that is what our superposition theorem states. Now superposition theorem, why this means, suppose superposition theorem, why is it holding true? Why is it holding true? Can anyone tell me, or anyone think yourself? Why is it holding true? Because of this one word I just written, linear. If your circuit is linear, suppose if I have a network, okay, I give it a composite input, input 1 plus input 2 plus dot 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 till input n, and I get output. Okay, output I get for this combination of input. Now suppose if this is a linear network, so what will happen? Input 1 will generate output 1, input 2 will generate output 2. Similarly, input n will generate output n. Now if I add this to, input 1 plus input 2 plus input n, that is what the input to this linear network, and output will be what? It will be output 1, output 2, output n. So whatever is the summation of this output, you will be seeing what? It is equal to the output. So this is only valid for linear system. We know what? In linear system we can add inputs and the same result we will be getting when we combinedly take the inputs. So linear network satisfies which two condition? First is your superposition condition and second is your homogeneity condition. Homogeneity condition, superposition condition we just saw, it is additivity property. Homogeneity property is what? Multiplicative property. That means what? If we multiply input by a constant or a scalar term, my output will also be getting multiplied by the same number of factor. Okay. So this is what we meant by our linear network. So linear network, it holds true whenever superposition principle holds true and homogeneity principle it holds true. Okay. So this is what I have written in the next line. It is not valid for calculating power. Why calculating power it is not valid? Because power is a non-linear function. Why non-linear? Because you know power is I square z. So I square is non-linear, or it is v square by z. So again v square is also non-linear. Okay. So remember this, superposition theorem is invalid for our power calculation. Okay. Now this theorem is used when network contains more than one independent source. I have already told you. So when we take one by one each of the sources, the other source, if it is my voltage source, what will I do? Other source you have to keep 0. So I have already told you, if it is voltage source, doing it 0 means what? You are replacing it by short circuit. And if it is my current source, if it is your current source, if you put it 0, you will be replacing that equivalent branch by a open circuit. Okay. So now how are we going to do power response in superposition theorem? Okay. So suppose this S1, okay, suppose this S1, due to the only, this is linear network, remember this. I have already told you power response is invalid in superposition theorem, but we have certain formula for that also. Now suppose my S1 current what happens? Due to the flow of S1, my current flowing here is I1, individually S1. Now due to this source S2, my current is flowing in this direction I2, or it can be opposite of I1 also. It can be opposite of I1 also. So I2 can be like this. So what I am going to do, I will be writing I, where I is what? It is the combined current acting due to the source 1 and source 2. I am going to write it like I1 plus minus I2. If it is in the same direction, so current will add. If it is in the opposite direction, current will subtract. So this I is what? It is basically the combined current due to my source S1 and source S2. Now tell me, what is the power consumed through this resistance? It will be what? I square R. Now I should have written it like I square Z. Okay, impedance I should have written, but it's fine. I can write it I square R also, then I can generalize in terms of impedance. So power total will be what? Power total is I square R, where I square is what? I1 plus I2. So this is I1 plus minus I2 whole square R. So PT, I am denoting P total by PT, is equal to what? I1 square plus I2 square plus minus 2 I1 I2 into R. Okay, I can write it like this. So now what am I going to do? See, this is what? I1 square R plus I2 square R plus minus, I can write it like 2 under root of I1 square R into I2 square R. I can write it like this. Can't I write it like this? So this root R, it will be coming out. So I can write it like this. Okay, it is very simple. Now what is P total? Now if individually the source 1 was acting, so what was the power through this resistance? Power absorbed through this resistance. When source 1 was acting, it will be I1 square R. PS2 is what? When only source 2 is acting, so that will be I2 square R. So I can replace P total, I can replace it by PS1 plus PS2 plus minus 2 under root of P1 under root of P2. I can write it like this. So P total is basically what then? P total is basically what? You can see what it is. I can directly write it like this now. Under root, I am replacing now, and this is whole square. Okay, this is whole square. So I can write it like under root of PS1 plus minus under root of PS2 whole square. Okay, I can write it like this. So what will be the maximum power? PT max. PT max will be when both the currents are additive. So it will be what? Under root of PS1 plus under root of PS2 whole square. And what will be PT minimum? Power total minimum, when the current are opposing each other. So that will be what? PS1 under root minus PS2 whole square. So I could have just written down the formula, but I thought for power response I can prove. Okay, for power response I can prove. So you can note this 2 formula down. And similarly, here I have derived for 2 sources. If it was 3 sources, so for 3 sources, PT max will be what? Okay, I am writing it in the next page. So PT max for 3 sources, max to max they can ask you for 3 sources. So at that point it will be what? P1 plus under root P2 plus under root P3 whole square. What about minimum? 3 out of the 2 voltage or current source, it will be current opposing. Okay, so this will be the result. Okay, this will be the result you will be getting. So this is my maximum power transfer theorem. Okay, and here we are varying, means we are doing power response for our what? For impedance. Okay, for impedance only. So impedance, it will be what? Either it will be resistance, inductance or capacitance. So they are all absorbing. Okay, they are all absorbing. So that is why you can see power will be always positive. Okay. Now the next theorem that we have is reciprocity theorem. So reciprocity theorem is what? It is also valid for linear and bilateral network. Oh, I have explained you actually what is reciprocal network in our two-port network. Okay, while I was explaining two-port network, at that time I explained you what is reciprocal network with the help of an example. So if you people haven't watched that video, just go to lecture number 3 in this session only, in this playlist, and you will be finding there I have explained reciprocity theorem. Again I am going to explain here, it's okay. So reciprocity theorem is valid for linear bilateral network. Obviously it will be means it is valid for bilateral network. Why? Because if your resistance change due to the direction of current, then this theorem it will not hold true. We are going to see why. It is valid only for independent source network. Previously whatever we read, it was valid for dependent source also. But reciprocal theorem is not valid for dependent source, because in a circuit where we have dependent source, the moment we have dependent source, the circuit will be non-reciprocal in nature. Okay, so the circuit will be immediately, you will be marking what? It is non-reciprocal when you have a dependent source. Okay, now what? It is not valid for dependent source, as dependent source network are non-reciprocal in nature. Okay, so I have written it. Okay, so fine, so no need for this one, it is written in the next slide only. So what does reciprocal theorem states? Suppose you have a network A. Okay, this network, and this is your input, this is your input, this I1 is your output. Okay, now what you are doing, you take the same network, so this network and this network, they are identical. Now if you interchange the input and output, so now I2, it has become your input and this V2 is your now output. So your ratio of input by output or ratio of output by input, in both the cases it will remain the same. Okay, what I said, in reciprocal network your ratio of input to output, it will remain the same whenever you interchange the input and outputs. Okay, even if you interchange the input output, you will be getting the same result. Okay, for a reciprocal network. So while we solve question, at that time I am going to explain you very well. So it is quite difficult for me, being the time constraint, that I cannot explain you each and everything in detail. Okay, if you want detailed explanation to any one of the courses, I will suggest you to join our paid lectures. Okay, so the paid lectures, every detail, our contact details are present in the description box below. So you can just contact us or just drop a comment in the comment section below and we are sure to get back to you. Okay, and yes, if you do like my lecture, please press the thumbs up button. So that is quite a motivation for me. Okay, so now the last theorem that we have in this network theorem chapter is what? Telegen's theorem. Very, very simple. It is based on the principle of conservation of, not charge I have written, it is based on the principle of conservation of energy. Okay, energy conservation, it is based on the energy conservation. So what does Telegen's theorem states? It states, okay, first let me tell you, it is valid for linear and non-linear network, bilateral and unilateral network, and lumped network. Lumped network means what? I have explained you. Suppose there is a wire. This wire has distributed resistance R. Okay. So now this is distributed. Now if I lump this resistance for this wire R and this wire, now this connecting wire has resistance R equal to 0. So this is what? This is my lumped element. This is my distributed element. So it is valid for lumped network only. In any network, the sum of instantaneous power consumed by various elements of the branches is always equal to 0. So this thing we have seen in KVL. So this theorem is basically derived from our KVL. Okay. In KVL, what you have shown? You have seen that in KVL, what you have seen? We have seen that in KVL, in a loop, my summation of voltage is 0. Summation of voltage is 0. So quite obvious, if summation of voltage is 0 in a loop, so that means what? Your energy is conserved, and if your energy is conserved, your power is also conserved. Okay, energy and power, it is quite the same. So power is equal to energy by time. So energy consumed over a time, it will be same. So power delivered will be the power absorbed in a loop of a network. Okay. So anywhere in a loop, total power delivered by the sources, it will be equal to the total power absorbed by the absorbing sources as well as the absorbing elements like R, L and C. So this is basically your Telegen's theorem. Okay. So these were our quite important theorems that we are going to require for this our HAL and HPCL. So questions might be asked for all those things. So in the next session, we are going to have questionnaires. Okay, questions from different exams like BSNL JTO, from different PSU, ISRO even, GATE examination, ESC examination. So few good questions we are going to see in the next session. Please don't miss that session. Okay, and I have already told you, if you like our sessions, please put a thumbs up and share this with your friend and subscribe to our channel. Okay, please do that. So that is my motivation, actually, seeing you, that you people are enjoying the lecture, you people are learning something new. So you can also drop any comment you want to make, means any other lecture series you want. So you can drop a comment and I will try to make a lecture on that session also. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed today's session. Okay, then see you in the next session. Thank you.